So in this video, I want to talk about the autonomic nervous system, what it is and what it does. Now we need to go back to something we discussed earlier, which was the divisions of the nervous system. So if we start off with the nervous system as a whole, and this is a refresher, so hopefully you can tell me what's happening here. If we start with the nervous system, what are the two divisions? We know that we can have the central nervous system and we can have the peripheral nervous system. And the central nervous system, remember, it's made up of the brain, brainstem, and spinal cord. And it's called the central nervous system because it's central anatomically, because it's right down the middle, but also central functionally because this is the side of integration where we make sense of all the communication networks that go to and from the brain itself. So that's the central nervous system. But then we can divide the peripheral nervous system up even further. So remember I said we can divide it up into sensory and motor. Remember, sensory is picking up information from the environment, whether it's external or internal environment, and sending it to the central nervous system. And motor is sending an outward signal to muscles, tissues, and glands, telling them to do something. And remember, we can break them up even further. So sensory, you can actually have somatic sensory, and you can have visceral sensory. And all that was saying is that if it's somatic sensory, it's picking up information about the body, conscious information about the body. What do you become consciously aware about from your environment? Visceral is picking up information about your organs. You don't usually become consciously aware about this. So how has the diameter of your blood vessels changed? Has there been a stricture or a constriction or something, or the movement of a fluid or structure or a fluid or a solid going through your system? These are picked up by receptors and sent as sensory signals, but they're visceral sensory and you don't become consciously aware. Now the motor division can be broken up similarly. Somatic, so this is where you send out signals to your body for conscious movement, but also visceral, telling organs of your body to contract or move or secrete. And in actual fact, this has another name, and it's called autonomic. And this is the autonomic division of your nervous system. These are motor signals that go out to organs and structures of your body to tell them to do something, and you can actually divide it into two subdivisions itself. And that's going to be the focus of this lecture. You can have the parasympathetic division, parasympathetic, and the sympathetic. So the parasympathetic, this tells organs of your body to be activated or inhibited during times of rest and digest. Rest and digest. So it's going to stimulate the digestive system. It's going to stimulate salivation, for example. It's going to stimulate a whole bunch of structures that promote resting and digesting. The sympathetic is the flip side of that coin. It's fight and flight. This gets activated in times of fear and stress. And it's going to stimulate organs to be activated that can keep you alive in times of fear and stress. So increases heart rate to pump more blood around the body. Tells your pupils to dilate so you can see more around you. Tells blood vessels in your skin to constrict so that if you get cut, you don't bleed out, right? So all these things are things that happen to keep you alive in that moment. So just remember, parasympathetic, what organs need to be activated for you to rest and digest? And sympathetic, what organs need to be activated to keep you alive in times of fear? So the next thing we now need to look at is, what are these organs? How are they stimulated? And how do we subdivide them anatomically and functionally when it comes to sympathetic versus parasympathetic?